I guess I could say that, like, growing up, I've always kind of had that thought in the back of my head because it's kind of who I am deep down inside.
LGBTQ social movements are social movements that advocate for the equalization and acceptance or equalized acceptance of the LGBTQ people in our society.
Earliest LGBTQ rights organizations in support of gay rights were formed in 1924.
One of the commonly stated goals for these movements is social equality. Some groups also focus on building LGBTQ communities or working towards decreasing homophobia.
Some forms of political activism in the fight for equality include lobbying, street marches, social groups, media, and
The first person I really talked to about it was my best friend Damon. We grew up together on the swim team, and I don't know, he was like a brother to me almost, but we were just like really close. We were best friends. We did everything together. We'd always hang out. And I guess you could say he was kind of like my first gay experience, so he was the first person I could like actually talk to about it, and he was the person I told I thought I was per se bi, not exactly gay, but I don't know, I didn't want to be fully gay or whatever. I just wanted to come out as bi and see how that was.
Social reformer Jeremy Bentham wrote the first known argument of homosexuality in England around 1785.
in this, he claimed that homosexuality is a victimless crime and shouldn't be punished. Unfortunately, this was not published until about 1978.
In 1791, France became the first country to decriminalize homosexuality.
The homophile movement began in 1990 in the Netherlands and Denmark and branched all throughout the world, lobbying to establish that it was okay to be gay.
So after my friend Damon had told my dad, he was accepting of it, surprisingly, being that he's been in prison my whole life. He was accepting, and luckily, I had it pretty easy coming out to my family. None of them cared. They all accepted me. They all knew while I grew up that I was gay. Like, I will ask any of my aunts, my uncles, my grandma, my mom, my dad. They say, we've always known since you were a little boy that you were gonna be gay one day. But I didn't have it the worst. I can definitely say I did not have it like a horror story that most gay teens do have.
By 1969, there were dozens of these groups in the U.S., along with national organizations, but were largely ignored by the media.
In 1966, bisexual activist Robert A. Martin founded the Student Homophile League at Columbia University.
By 1967, Columbia University officially recognized them, making them the first college in the U.S. to accept a gay student group.
I was actually the first guy to ever try out or become a member of the dance team, so it was kind of a big deal to me. I already knew like I was going to get criticized for it and looked down upon in some ways, and just it was going to be different because I would always catch fathers and other students like making weird faces at me and yelling things at me while I was dancing, and just putting me down. It scared the crap out of me.
In 2003, the case of Lawrence versus Texas, the Supreme Court struck down sodomy laws in 14 states, making it legal in all 50 states for same-sex.
The UN, or United Nations, declared of sexual orientation and identity was adopted on December 12th of 2008.
This meant that there could be no hate crimes and basically protected the LGBT community.
By 2012, the U.S. Department of Housing issued regulation to prohibit discrimination in federally assisted housing programs. A new era of the gay rights movement has begun in the 1980s with the emergence of AIDS.
Over the years, the name has changed from LGBT to LGBTQ or LGBTI for questioning or intersex.
The Netherlands has become the first country ever to allow same-sex marriage in 2001, and as of 2015, America has become the 17th country to allow same-sex marriage.
Basketball performance. It was halftime, and like we went out onto the court, we got in our formation, and we just hit our first pose before the music started to start our dance. And I was the point in the back, and like it was the visitor side, so there was all the dads and all the players right there, and these fathers like were right in front of me, just like started laughing, and were just like, you know, making all these like disgusted faces and just like saying all these bad things. And
In early 2014, protest organization by Add the Words advocated adding the words sexual orientation and gender identity to the state's Human Rights Act.
In June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that Constitution requires same-sex couples to be allowed to marry, making the United States the 17th country to be allowed same-sex marriage.
To this day, gays still struggle with equal rights, dealing with groups such as the West Baptism Church and the terrorism groups such as ISIS.
gay people and lesbian people and LGBTQ people in general have had to go through, and the problems and the struggles, just like it's important to look at what African American people have had to go through. I feel like they kind of come hand in hand because both groups have been bigly or hugely discriminated against, and many terrible things have happened to both of these groups. And I just want gay people and LGBTQ people to be able to be equal in every aspect of life and not have all these problems to worry about. Nowadays it is a lot more acceptable to be gay, but there still are problems with it, of course. My hopes would be that we can just all be equal. My hopes that we could all walk amongst each other one day and not have, you know, that even be a questioning factor